Hello and welcome to Wednesday Debate Live with Taghreed Hussein here on Nile TV International. Tonight we'll be talking about the leading role of scientists and their contribution to New Egypt and the features of the new republic, how scientific research is considered to be a very important component and a leading factor in the new republic. Building the Egyptian character has been one of the important priorities for President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, investing in the people. And this is a very noble cause because we are investing not only in the youth but in all Egyptians. And this will reflect definitely positively on their performance and on leading a better life for the coming generations. New Egypt attaches maximum importance to building the Egyptian citizen, not only on health level, but also in the field of science and culture. And the new republic believes that science and education are considered to be very important pillars for the community's development at large. In that regard, the state aims at stimulating the enlightened and the thinking minds that follow science and knowledge. We have great renowned scientists in Egypt who are exerting relentless efforts in that sphere and in the different contributions, not only contributing to the scientific field in the country, but they are contributing to humanity through their endeavors and through their contributions. By supporting science and scientists, Egypt is making investment in people a very important and a top priority, since it believes that investing in the human capital is considered to be integral to the country's overall development at large. Dreaming of enlightened generations, the government exerted remarkable efforts in that respect to upgrade the scientific research in Egypt through the different shifts and making a difference, establishing also a comprehensive scientific system that is mainly based upon this sense of perception, and also digitizing Egypt, moving faster also in this important trend will definitely has a very important effect in that regard. We'll be reading that important headline. I'm really honored to have with us here one of Egypt's leading and renowned scientists. He himself is considered to be an idol for many of his students. Professor Dr. Salah Obayya has always been iconic in his field, and actually he raised the Egyptian flag more than once abroad. Recently there was another honor for Dr. Obayya as well, and as we congratulate him, we are saying that all those Egyptian scientists are really making us all proud in Egypt. We are proud of their achievements and their contributions, not only to the country, but also to humanity. I thank you so much, Professor Dr. Salah Obayya, our distinctive renowned scientist who has been honored by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi on Science Day before, of course, for his contributions and still giving. So congratulations, Professor.
Thank you so much for hosting me tonight in Daily Debate. It's always my honor to be with you in this program and to be seen by our Egyptian people and worldwide at Daily Debate in Nile TV International.
Thank you so much, Professor, and we will talk about the latest distinctive honor and more, but let us first take the main headline of the day. Earlier, checking today's headlines, of course, the meeting that was held between President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and his Romanian counterpart. The meeting took place at Littahadiyya Palace, where they conferred over economic cooperation and talked also counter-terrorism. This in addition to a number of regional files of mutual interest. Egypt and Romania forward ever discussing boosting bilateral ties in the different domains. And His Excellency Romanian President Klaus Iohannis at Littahadiyya Palace had been, as we can see, received warmly by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, talking also technical cooperation, talking counter-terrorism, this in addition to regional files of common interest. And later on, as we can see, this is the part of the press conference that was held by both leaders, discussing more human rights, improving people's living conditions, regional issues of mutual interest, and definitely also talking bilateral relations and holding the fourth meeting of the Joint Economic Committee concerning energy, investment, manufacturing, trade, and the tourism sectors as well. Let's watch more concerning the highlights of the day and this important visit by Romania's president in this report, and we will be back to discuss the main highlights of the press conference and more. Stay tuned.
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received his Romanian counterpart, Klaus Iohannis, on Wednesday at the Ittihadiyya Presidential Palace, where they conferred over economic ties, technical cooperation, counterterrorism, in addition to a number of regional files of common interest. Both leaders held a joint press conference where they discussed human rights, improvement of people's living conditions, and various regional issues. Throughout their meeting, the Egyptian and Romanian chiefs of state agreed on the necessity of holding elections in Libya by the end of 2021. In this regard, President el-Sisi reiterated the salience of withdrawing mercenaries from Libya in fulfillment of the UN Security Council resolutions, affirming Egypt's support to political solution. As for the Palestinian cause, President el-Sisi and Iohannis stressed the importance of cooperation and coordination over the issue in international conventions. With regard to bilateral relations between the two countries, the Egyptian and Romanian presidents agreed on reinforcing economic ties and holding the fourth meeting of the Joint Economic Committee concerning energy, investment, manufacturing, trade, and tourism. For his side, President Iohannis affirmed his deep faith that the new round of meetings of the Egyptian and Romanian Joint Economic Committee will play a remarkable role in expanding bilateral cooperation in the sectors of telecommunications, information technology, cybersecurity, education, scientific research, and innovation. Romania's chief of state noted that Egypt and his country are gateways for the European and African markets, making it crucial for businessmen from both countries to develop partnerships. Iohannis underscored that Egypt plays a key role in the region, particularly on the front of maintaining security regionally and globally. He added that his country backs Egypt's endeavors aimed at contributing to resolving crises in the Middle East and Africa in collaboration with international partners.
Leaders and talking also the role of science in our future and more. We can sense a very important sense of cooperation between Egypt and Romania in the different fields. Yes. Among the fields is definitely the scientific and the educational field.
Sure. You rightly said it. Actually, science and education is the main vehicle for the development of any country. And if we are talking and working tirelessly in order to improve people's lives, we cannot make or cannot think twice about the importance and significant importance of science, higher education, and even education at school level. Let me put it this way, particularly for the relationship between Egypt and Romania, we can make use of what called EU Horizon 2020 and beyond.
Yes.
EU Horizon 2020 and beyond is a very big umbrella for research collaboration between European countries and associated countries. Fortunately, Egypt is one of these associated countries, North Africa and some other countries in the Middle East. So through this, where Europe is actually pumping billions and billions of pounds billions and billions of euros in order to stimulate research efforts of scientists and research groups, research institutes, and so on in Europe and associated countries in order to, number one, strengthen the research collaboration and also strengthen the joint master, PhD, and undergrad educational programs in many fields. This is one thing. Another thing, in order to bring up new innovative solutions to some of the problems which is existing now, and also some of the problems that might arise in the future. Remember that Egypt, as an associated country to EU, we are living more or less in a neighborhood of the same region where actually we are facing more or less the same kind of problems. So actually, this cultivates seeds for a stronger research relationship between these countries, particularly between Egypt and Romania. I'm quite happy and quite proud to hear that President Al-Sisi is receiving today the Romanian president, and on the agenda of their talks together today, they put research and higher education. This makes me happy and I'm proud as a scientist, and also this makes me feeling more and more confident that a future of Egypt in this direction is very bright.
Definitely the future is very positive, and we're honored to have with us His Excellency Ambassador Mohammed Al-Arabi, former Minister of Foreign Affairs. Your Excellency, thank you so much for talking to Nile TV International. A very important meeting between President Al-Sisi and President Iohannis earlier in the day of Romania, and discussing further boosting bilateral relations between both countries and widening those horizons. We can see our diversified relations, Excellency, with all parts of the world.
Yes, I can agree with you. I think the Egyptian diplomacy now is very active and exerting more efforts in order to have a balanced relationship with all the, let us say, the power in the world. And I think maybe you could agree with me that Egypt, for the last month, has a sort of more efforts, to intensify the relationship with the European, the EU in general, and the European countries in particular. And maybe the meeting of the Fishgrad was one of the signs that Egypt is looking forward, to have a more solid relationship with the different groups inside the EU. And now we have also, on the bilateral basis, good contacts with Romania, Albania, France. The Prime Minister of Egypt was in Paris on the same context, and today we have the Romanian president. So I think the Egyptian diplomacy now is playing an important role to enhance the relationship with European countries on the bilateral basis, and also as the EU group, and also the different groups inside the EU itself. I think this kind of diplomacy is so important now, and it will give us more, I would say, impetus in our relationship with the European countries, despite the fact that Egypt enjoys a very good relation for very long years in the past with these countries. But now, as we are trying, let us say the world is trying to shape a new international order, I think this is very good for Egypt to extend this kind of relationship with all the countries in the EU, the traditional countries like Britain, France, Germany, and also the new members in the EU, which we are calling them the East European countries. And I think this is a very good policy, and it will give us a sort of varieties to work with, and this will enhance, our economy, our tourism industry, and also our political relationship and the trade exchange between Egypt and most of these countries. So I think our prudent policy in this regard is excellent, approach. And I think it will have fruits in the near future. And Egypt now is playing a pivotal role in the Middle East as a country for stability and peace and development.
Yes. Your Excellency, the two leaders at the joint press conference discussed also human rights, including the improvement of people's living conditions, and throughout the day we heard also in the news the President appointing presidential advisor for the Decent Life Initiative, and marketing those important initiatives like this noble aimed cause Decent Life Initiative to the whole world, and also talking this important file with the Romanian president earlier. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think Egypt is addressing, this subject in a very good way, and we always, try to show to the world that we have a wide range of elements of human rights. It's not just freedom of expression, but also to enjoy a very good standard of life. And as you mentioned, yes, there is a new advisor for the president for this decent life project, which is, I consider it as part of the human rights approach in Egypt. And also we have a new council for human rights. And of course, Egypt just announced the new strategy for human rights, which I think it was a very good message to the whole world that Egypt is keen to raise this issue and to respect all the principles of the human rights in different aspects and different fields. And I think we are now crossing a new era after this, lifting the emergency law. Exactly. I think all these items, actually, it will give us a sort of good image in the world if we talk about the human rights and any claims that Egypt was under the violation of these human rights.
Yes, definitely, Your Excellency. Well, talking more than one important file, the economic file, Egypt maintaining security regionally as well as globally, not only in the Middle East, but also in Africa, came among the top important topics. So mainly, how do you see the features of our dynamic foreign policy in the new republic?
You will agree also that we are facing a lot of challenges, a lot of problems. Actually, we are sailing in a turbulent sea, actually, in this region. Despite all this, I think Egypt proved to everybody that we are the oasis of stability and development. And we are trying to enhance peace and security all over, our strategic domains. So Egypt is exerting, every effort in order to have peace for all these chronic problems which are prevailing in the Middle East. And I think our views and our strategy is well respected from everybody, and that's why everybody is seeking, to get acquainted with our views towards all these problems and how we can reach a peaceful solution for all these problems. So Egypt now is the focus of efforts how to enhance peace and security in the region, and I think we are enjoying a very good credibility now from all the powers in the world.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Ambassador Mohammed Al-Arabi, Egypt's former Minister of Foreign Affairs, for joining us and highlighting today's important meeting between President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the Romanian President that took place at the Ittihadiyya Palace in Cairo. Dr. Salah, as we were talking about putting forward and the features of the new republic, among the main components, and as Ambassador Al-Arabi said, that we are putting many successful components together.
Sure.
And among them definitely is also science and technology. How do you see science and technology featuring high in the components of the new republic?
Well, this is very integral components of the new republic, and we don't have to imagine what could happen in Egypt in the coming few years when we adopt more and more of science, technology, and innovation, not only in the higher education sector, but in general in our daily lives and our planning for our futures. We just need to look at at other countries which have passed through this in the last few decades. Countries in Asia, countries in Eastern Europe, Romania is one of them. Actually, science and technology and innovation is actually the main vehicle for the advancement and development of many fields. When we talk about energy, water treatment, healthcare, anything in our daily life, you cannot exclude the role of science and technology and innovation in improving people's lives, as you said.
Yes, definitely. It is a very important file. Back to the latest award, and sure, many congratulations have poured to you, Professor, from different parts of the world. Each award is dear to you and is sure very meaningful.
Sure.
In what way is the latest contribution very meaningful, Dr. Obayya? Tell me more.
Well, it's the fellowship of American Physical Society, and American Physical Society is one of the oldest and most prestigious scientific societies in general, and particularly in physics. It has been established in U.S. in 1899, so for almost more than 120 years now. This was the first time ever for a scientist working in the area, I mean in Africa and in the Arab world.
The first Arab and African fellow elected.
In the region. Of course, some of other scientists who are originally Arabs, they have been elected while they are working abroad in England, US, and others. But for someone to be recognized for his research, which has been fully accomplished and conducted in Egypt, this is the first time for this region, I mean Africa and the Arab world. And it goes through a number of stages. Number one, it is not by application, it is by nomination. So first stage is the successful fellow has to be nominated initially by fellow peer fellows from APS, from American Physical Society. Then it goes to another panel which is very specialized in the field of nominee, I mean in photonics or so. Then it goes to the higher committee, and every time the number of successful nominees are becoming less and less and less, until it goes to the final stage when it comes to the board of director meeting, and the number of elected fellows every year does not exceed 0.5%. So this is very, very, very competitive. It's not by application, it's by nomination, as I said, and the election at 4 stages. So for me, it was quite joyful to be elected this year.
Definitely.
I received a letter and phone call from the president of APS, Professor Sylvester, early in October, and he asked me to keep it confidential until they make PRL, press release. And yes.
Congratulations, Professor.
I'm very happy that we made it.
We are really happy for you and happy for Egypt, and
thank you.
For all the accomplishments that are happening in the name of the country, definitely reflecting. Such events are also reflecting on the way of, let me say, branding Egypt globally. Today, when an Egyptian scientist manages, of course, to achieve more than one prestigious global award, definitely it's very meaningful. Why do you think you won this time this sense of fellowship? Is it because your research will serve humanity in a different way this time?
Well, they have, of course, a very rigorous criteria for election. So nomination is part of it, and then when it comes to elections, they look at number of factors. One of them, of course, is the impact of the publications, the research publications that have resulted and come out of our research. This is one thing. Another thing is how many times it has been cited by other scientists working in the field, and this itself, it's a major indicator how much of the research has impacted others while they are doing their research. The third component is the leadership, research leadership. How many students I have graduated and which positions they have occupied later on, and not only in Egypt but worldwide. So I think in the letter they have sent to me, they said the first criteria for leadership in research and also for graduating many students that have occupied very good and prestigious positions, not only in universities, not only in Egypt, but in Egypt, in other countries, and also in industry as well as in academia. So these factors combined together, and also I forgot also to mention that they looked with high admiration of my tender in order to educate and give opportunities for lady scientists, young lady scientists, in order to be educated.
So women empowerment was also very much appreciated.
It's a very integral component, not only in APS as a society, but other prestigious scientific societies worldwide.
That's great to hear that, and you know, great scientists are empowering women. Many of your students are very distinctive scientists, female scientists today, Professor, right? I guess you're very proud of them.
Of course, 40% of my grad students, well, they are colleagues now and they are very big professors. There are 40% of my almost 150 graduate students that I have supervised to fully completion, and they have completed their PhDs under my supervision. the 40%, almost 40%, they are ladies from Egypt, from Africa, and from UK and other parts of the world.
That's great. How about women having a sense like of a breakthrough, knocking doors, knocking photonics doors, let me say?
Well, women, they have, I am talking here about Egyptian females in particular. They are very, very inspired when they are supervised by someone who is caring for them, giving them the opportunity, understanding their circumstances. Whenever they have some family issues or whatever, I don't intend to interfere, but at least to guide them through some solutions, give them the facilities needed. But believe it or not, when they are given the full chance, they exceed twice better than the male.
Than the gentlemen, yeah.
Yes, than their counterparts. Yeah.
But is it easy to see women scientists in the field of photonics, or are they struggling, I mean?
Well, in general, in engineering and science, women are, well, they are not finding it difficult because they are not less smart. I think they are smarter than male. I am biased to them.
Biased to
yes,
women.
I don't have to hide this. But actually, they are struggling because working in research in general, they need a full devotion. And whenever a talented researcher, I really feel sad when a talented researcher is fully occupied by I understand every one of them needs to have her own family and raise her up her kids and so on. But of course, when they are giving the care necessary in order to devote some of their precious time to research, they excel.
Excellence is always a key component to success.
Of course, yeah.
Well, more than one occasion, President Sisi had always emphasized the importance of increasing the sense of contributions to the scientific field, especially talking scientific research and encouraging the different institutions that are working on this sense of research in Egypt, and also giving a boost to the applicants and technological applications, which is also very important. The upcoming report highlights the role of scientific research, how scientific research is very important and an adamant component to Egypt's developmental process. Let's watch.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi always emphasizes the importance of increasing the contributions of the scientific research system and institutions in using the modern technological applications to serve the state's comprehensive development process. In this regard, he highlights the importance of increasing allocations to enhance the state's sectors and develop practical solutions to various challenges. Throughout the last 7 years, the government has been taking into account the continuous development of the various research services offered by specialized centers and institutions to accommodate the growing development needs, particularly linking scientific research with efforts to localize the national industry. Regarding the role of research centers and institutes in the development plans across the country, it's worth mentioning that there are 11 research centers affiliated to the Ministry of Higher Education, in addition to more than 300 research centers and units affiliated to other ministries and bodies, as well as a number of companies and factories. Noteworthy, within the framework of Egypt's Vision 2030, which emanates from the Sustainable Development Goals adopted by the United Nations, and based on the crucial role played by the scientific research, the National Strategy for Science, Technology and Innovation 2030 constitutes a main pillar of the national vision, especially in relation to the production and localization of science and knowledge.
Professor Obayya, the President always refers, when he talks about achievements, that those achievements are definitely the fruit also of the people of Egypt's sacrifice.
Sure.
And how the people of Egypt, how Egyptians are always supporting the leadership in order to achieve all what we are seeing changing the face of life in the country today. The President also talks about the very important file and issue, notably awareness.
Sure.
And, the awareness of the Egyptian people. Raising awareness of Egyptians and raising awareness is always co-relevant to the level of their education.
Sure.
And science is playing a very important role in that respect.
Definitely, this is a very important point to touch upon. There is an inverse relationship between the level of awareness, level of education, level of spread of good knowledge and true knowledge among the communities, and the spread of terrorism, some negative phenomena like terrorism. Terrorism is more or less spread among countries and communities where they are subject to less level of good education. Scientific research is not there to the level needed in order to raise up the good level of awareness, and the good level of awareness needs high education and education at school level. So all of these components are the real weapons of the state in order to combat terrorism. Of course, combating terrorism through direct confrontation is highly needed, essentially in critical periods of and the historic moments of the country, but also longer term, we should focus more or less on strengthening the sectors of scientific research, education, in order to combat terrorism at longer term.
Yes, we held different conferences under the title بالعلم نستطيع. So through science and scientific research we can achieve, and we can achieve a lot.
Sure.
Talking creativity and innovation, and we are hearing those terms, creativity, innovation, and co-relevant also to the technological aspect that definitely serves science and scientific research, like digitization, in service of your noble cause.
Of course. Digital community and digital states and digital countries, this is a very important aspect. Let me come back to square number one, where what is creativity and what is innovation? People thought in the past that creativity and innovation is something like a talent. It's a gift. Of course, it's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to certain people. But actually, through modern education systems, we can actually grow up this kind of talents, of creativity and innovation inside the brains and minds of...
Can we have coaches like...
Of course, this is the way. We're actually transforming our education system from direct learning into something else that relates on learning by doing and other techniques like researching and writing articles and searching for the information. So it's not about direct teaching and learning environment, it's about learning facilitation. It's about giving the opportunity to the kids.
Students are no more receivers.
No. They are actually they are partner in the learning and teaching environment, and they are very important. And sometimes, actually, I give an example from my own experience. Sometimes I learn from the questions raised by my students, not only at master and PhD level, but also at undergrad level, through my visits to schools in order to get them inspired about photonics and other research aspects. I get asked about questions that I start to think about when I come back to my lab, and probably this could be the seed for another research project. So actually, this is the way we grow up the creativity and the innovation inside the minds of kids while they are still school kids. When he becomes a young man at university, he is more or less equipped with a basic background where we can build upon in order to be very successful businessman or very successful researcher or engineer or doctor or whatever.
Yes.
In order to achieve this, you mentioned the digital transformation. Yes. Digital transformation now is the main web or main nerve that can actually facilitate our good and noble cause of making creativity and innovation as a habit of our kids.
Yes. How can we encourage the emergence of future scientists? How can we simplify science and scientific formulas to the grassroots?
Well, I am not actually sorry about that. I'm not fully agreeing with the way that we would like to simplify things to the kids. Believe it or not, our kids are very smart. Once they find the right teacher and the right way of teaching them about this mathematical formula or this scientific concept, they actually love it. Not only understand it, they love it. And once you reach the level of loving what you are learning, then you become, in turn, innovator and creator in the field in the future.
Yes. We have like a minute and a half to go, Professor. Yes, we were really honored to have you tonight.
Thank you very much.
If you would give a simplified piece of advice to our future scientists who see your achievements today and would love to follow suit, what would you tell them?
Well, the only advice that I give them, you need to work sincerely and work very hard. Don't wait for results to come very soon. Results will come at the end, and fruits will come at the end. But you need to work for so many years, so hard, and you have to be very patient and not to be waiting for very quick results, because quick results are not very sustainable.
Yes. And we are definitely seeking sustainability. Professor Dr. Salah Obayya, Professor of Photonics and one of Egypt's leading scientists, congratulations once again for your latest achievements. We're really proud of you. Thank you for coming to Nile TV International and sharing with us and with our audiences all over the world Egypt's scientific standards and accomplishments.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Professor.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And I thank you, dear viewers, for joining us. That was Wednesday Debate, and I'm Taghreed Hussein. Many thanks for watching.